So welcome to Photography in Focus, which is the first in a series of events that is focusing on forced migration and the arts. For today's event, our specific focus is going to be on photography. And for today, we have got three speakers. We've got Sahat Zia Hero, who is a photographer and has also got experience of forced migration and is currently living in a refugee camp in Bangladesh. We've got Biglin, who is a lecturer at the University of Salford, and we've got Alan Gignoux, who is a photographer. So how we are going to start is we'll start by each of our speakers, taking turns to just introduce themselves and talk about the work that they do. Specifically, who are you, what do you do, where do you do it, how do you do it, why do you do it that way, how did it all start, and how has the work been received? And we start with Saad.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ambrose, for organizing this event. So, yes, as you introduced me, I'm Sahat Zia Hero. I'm a Rohingya refugee living in the world's largest refugee camp in Bangladesh. So, I became refugee in 2017 after the Rohingya genocide in Myanmar. That was happening in 2017. So now I'm living in the world's largest refugee camp along with 1 million of my community people. Our camp is exactly located in the Cox's Bazar in Chittagong district of Bangladesh. So I'm a documentary photographer and a writer and also a human rights activist. So, and I'm a founder and editor of Rohingyatographer Magazine, which is a community-led project for the skill development and promoting the photographers in my community. So I created this project last year in February, and our aim is to produce twice magazine in a year. So we have already published our first magazine last year in March. That was a successful and a very popular magazine. It's first magazine of Rohingya photographers published by themselves. And that was featured in many international media like Al Jazeera, The Guardian, and NBC, and many different international media and famous media. So I lead the team of Rohingya photographers in our camp, in my community. We have almost 100 photographers, artists, and writers in my team. So I normally organize the photography workshop and master class in the camp by the support of the international humanitarian organization like organization and agency like UNHCR, IUM, and so I'm also a cultural researcher. I work in the cultural center in the camp that is supported by the humanitarian organization called International Organization for Migration, the IOM. So that's my introduction. So now, yeah, and we are going to publish our magazine, the Rohingyatographer Magazine, issue number 2, the second edition, very soon, maybe next week. So in that issue, in our second issue, there are 20 photographers, including 4 female photographers contributing their photos. So it's also supported by the UNESCO. So we will organize exhibition in Bangladesh and in many other different countries. Also, in our last magazine, in our first issue, that was supported by the Spanish Embassy in Dhaka and UNESCO, supported for the exhibition and for printing magazine in Bangladesh. And so we publish the magazine on Balap bookstore, the online bookstore. So everyone from any country can order it through online. And we have also a website that is rohingyatographer.org. So anyone can check in our website and they can see our work, and they can also order our magazine through our website.
Thank you, Sahat. So what we'll do is I'll put a link in the chat to the magazine shortly. So now we go to Joe. Joe, if you could introduce yourself and talk about the work you do.
Hi. Yeah, so I am a lecturer at the University of Salford. I'm a lecturer in social psychology. So I have, part of my PhD research was a photo voice project. So photo voice is a participatory methodology. So that's a methodology where participants are involved in sort of like every aspect of the research. So from formulating research questions to carrying out the research to analysing the data. And photo voice is a method where participants use photography to explore their experiences. So I've worked with refugee and asylum seekers in a voluntary capacity for probably like 6 or 7 years now. Like, it's just a shock at how old I am now. But yeah, so the photo voice project was kind of because I was already working with refugee and asylum seekers in a voluntary capacity. Then I decided to do the research with refugee and asylum seekers. So that was carried out in Manchester, and there was around 40 people took part, and they took photographs of things to represent their experiences of place, belonging and citizenship within the Manchester and Greater Manchester area. So yeah, it was done this way, I guess, because it was a way to kind of see into the lives of people who are actually experiencing the asylum system and see it through their eyes. Static methods, such as like just carrying out interviews, don't always kind of capture the nuances of people's actual lived experience. And also, the method was chosen to create a space, an opportunity for people seeking asylum to sort of tell their own story, rather than, using something like just interview, where I would have sat down, asked a bunch of questions, and then kind of taken that data away and analysed it. It was a way for them to kind of control the way that the story is told in the narrative. Yeah, I guess that's my introduction.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. And now we go to Alan.
Hi there. Good evening, everybody. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Well, my name is Alan Gignoux. I'm working with Jenny Christensen and Chloe Juno, and we're working on a project entitled "You Can See Me, But I Don't Exist." And to put it sort of into a nutshell, we're using a camera obscura, which is basically, it's just a box with a hole in it, because the whole idea is that, obviously we want to get the background completely in focus, but we want to have the foreground completely out of focus. because actually, when I sort of was thinking about, how to sort of talk about this issue, it was sort of like, well, we've all seen images from Libya, we've all seen images from the Channel or from the Mediterranean or from the Sahara. And actually, we sort of found the most difficult part was actually waiting in the United Kingdom while the Home Office makes a decision, which can take up to 4 years. And in that time, you can't work. You are just sitting in limbo, basically. And I'd actually worked on this project. You have to sort of bear with me a little bit. I have a bit of a cold, unfortunately, in Sweden and also in Austria. And so there's this guy actually in Sweden who came up with the with the saying in limbo, because it's like I'm just waiting until the Swedish government decide whether I can stay or not stay. And so far in the UK, we've worked in London with the Jesuit Refugee Centre in Wapping. We've worked with the, oh gosh, if I can get it right, EHRC with Farai up in Manchester. And then we worked with the BOAB, not foundation, sorry, yes, in Birmingham. And we're actually going to Birmingham tomorrow to participate in the writing workshops, because it's actually a two-pronged project. It's photographs and as well as a writing workshop too. And some of the writing has just been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you. And then just picking up from all that you're saying, again, we start with Sahat, and then Joe, and then Alan. Is why is photography important? Why are you doing this with photography? What can photography do?
Oh, shall I answer first? Okay. Well, I mean, photography. I don't think that Suella Braverman is going to look at my project and sort of think, oh my God, I've been doing the wrong thing for the last 2 years. What we can do is we can just bring more and more awareness. More and more awareness, brings more and more pressure. And it brings, and people actually start to understand issues a lot better. Because previously, I worked on a project, concerning Palestinian refugees, and photographing where they actually are today, and then going back to what is today Israel, and photographing where they actually came from. So it's putting people in place together. How the landscape had changed, how the towns had changed, how the people had changed. And, as I said to this one Palestinian, I don't think George Bush or Tony Blair are going to look at my project and reverse, policies. But I do think that, things have changed towards the Palestinians over the last 20 years, vis-a-vis the media, vis-a-vis, the PR war. And this is what a lot of it, this is about. And I think Israel, has got a lot of problems. And I think that, with the refugee issue in the UK, we need refugees. I mean, humans have always been, on the move. I mean, this isn't anything that's new. And it's not going to stop any. In fact, it's probably going to become, a lot more, with more conflicts around the world, and also with climate change.
How about you, Sahat? Why is photography important? What can you do? What can photography do?
Yes, through photography, I have to raise awareness and create changes around the issues that faced by my community in this refugee camp. So, and I'm committed to amplify the voice of my fellow Rohingya photographers by providing them with the resource they need to continue documenting and sharing the stories of their community. So, we raise our voice through photography and through storytelling, and to publishing magazine and sharing our photographs on social media and like Twitter, Instagram, and so because much injustice were happened, much injustice have been done to our people, So we seek justice, peace, and basic rights, which have been denied for many decades by the brutal military of government of Myanmar. So photography helps voiceless to be heard. So the world can see our suffering in Myanmar and our suffering also in the refugee camp where we live now. So photography is a proof of memory. So it can help demand our right in seeking peace and justice. Also, we preserve our culture, like because since 2018, 2017, it is already 5 years. We have been living here in the refugee camp. So uh, now we feel like we are losing our next generation because children who are born in this refugee camp, uh, they are getting far from the education and they are losing culture. They are losing language. So we preserve our culture and we always love to uh, love to uh, preserve our culture so that never lost. So and the world and the people around the world can see uh, and know our culture, and they can know we have culture and we have we have our own culture and we have our own voice, and so that photography really helps uh, to like to get reminded our issue to the people around the world.
Thank you. Thank you. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I think like Sahat just said then, like, I think photography is a way to document issues. And kind of I feel like in documenting issues, it's the visual aspect of it means that it's like, I feel like it's more far reaching, or it's more, it grabs people's attention over something that's like, that would be written. So yeah, it's a way to document issues. I think, as Sahat said about people having their voices heard, that's what the project that I conducted was about, was trying to create a space where people seeking asylum's voice was being listened to, was being centered. I think that it can be empowering. I think I'm always cautious of making a statement that it is empowering for people, because I wasn't the photographer in the project that I'm talking about. I'm not the photographer, and I don't want to speak for people and say that it's empowering, but I hope and the aim is that it is empowering for people to have control over their own stories. And I also think that photography can be a way to challenge. So in the work that I did, some of it was about sort of challenging dominant narratives and dominant visuals that are associated with asylum. So yeah, like through people telling their own story, they challenge kind of these dominant, racialized, harmful narratives.
Yeah. Alan mentioned that he doesn't think that Suella Braverman is going to look at the photos that.
Well, I don't think she's going to suddenly change policy. No, I hate to say this, Ambrose. Yeah. I haven't been in this business for too long.
Yeah.
But what can happen is you can change the conversation.
Yeah.
Is what you can do. I mean, as the example I sort of brought up, with the whole Palestinian issue, the conversation is very different today to what it was 20 years ago.
In what way is it different?
Well, I think before the invasion of Lebanon, I would say most people, obviously, let's say, with the Second World War, with the Holocaust, all of these other things, I think everybody realized we have to be pro-Israeli. I mean, there just isn't. And I think what happened with the invasion of Lebanon, everything started to change. And people were saying, wait a minute, I mean, this is just not on. This is just, people like Robert Fisk or, other journalists, started writing about, let's say Sabra and Shatila, or started writing about what was going on inside of Israel. And actually, no, it's not this great democratic state, that has been, it's been sold, to the rest of the world. And it's the same thing with this issue, in the sense that actually, people have been on the move since the beginning of time. Since we came out of the Rift Valley, humans have, we've always been on the move. It's just what humans do. I think it's, humans just have a wanderlust. We just do travel. We don't stay put. And so what is actually happening right now is quite natural. It's quite, it's very human.
Sure. Can I comment on that? I would say that what is happening now is kind of different to like the innateness in humans to move, because I think a lot of what we are seeing at the moment is forced migration that is caused by wars, climate change, colonialism, and things. So I think, I think that, it's different to just, humans we do move, and but I think, and that is part of the problem, is that, what is happening is because it is forced. There's a reason why that's happening.
Well, I mean, what's happening in Ukraine, obviously, because of the war, obviously a lot of Ukrainians are leaving, and then, of course, Syrians, Iraqis, Iranians, Afghans, obviously.
And also what's happening with the Rohingyas.
Yes.
Yeah. So my question was going to be, who would you say is the audience for the photos that you make? And
I think everybody. I mean, I guess probably to define it a lot more, anybody who's interested in the refugee crisis. But obviously, well, actually, is it really a crisis? Anybody who's interested in the in issues concerning refugees. And obviously, what you try and do is you try and get other people interested too. You don't want to preach to the converted. You want to also, you don't want to preach to anyone actually, but you want to be able to talk to other people who, sorry, I'm just getting over this cold. But, I mean, you want to inform people, and that's what I think what sort of happened, with my Palestinian project, is there was a lot of informing. I mean, it was amazing 20 odd years ago how little actually people really did know about the Palestinian issue, even in the United Kingdom.
How about you, Sahat? Who is the audience for your photos and also for the magazine?
Me? Or?
Sahat.
Yeah.
Okay. Most of our audience are from the international community, from many different countries, including the journalists, international media, and the researchers, and the university students. They always encourage us, and they always love to hear our voice. So during the COVID-19, when the journalists and the photographers didn't get access to our refugee camp, so they were connected with us, and we helped them to cover our issue to their platform, to their channel. So and now we have our audience from the local community, from the host community in Bangladesh. They also encourage us to document our life, to tell stories about the suffering and about the dream, about the hope of our community surviving here in the refugee camp. Because there is not always actual stories that the international media and other media from outside tell about the Rohingyas. So now when we started documenting our life. So people from the outside and people from international community can hear their real stories, can hear the reality of the Rohingya refugees living in the camp. So uh, so they can see our life through our lens. So yeah, so we have an audience from the whole world. So now the world can see their reality, and the world can hear our stories through our lens and through our photography, through our own eyes.
And has the work that you've been doing with journalists, has it changed since the pandemic, since the shift in how the pandemic is being controlled?
Yeah, still they are connected with us. So when they need any stories or they need any information about the Rohingya refugees, so they contact us and we share our stories as how it is really and as how we want to tell to the world.
How about you, Joe? Who is the audience, or who are the audiences for?
So I mean, with mine, there's like an academic element to it. So the audience is those interested or studying forced migration and asylum. But also the aim is obviously to take this beyond academia, because if something is just within academia, what is the point? So sharing with the public is really important. Obviously, Ambrose, you know, we had the exhibition because you were there reading poetry. So yeah, I have organised an exhibition in collaboration with the participants. And that was to have the audience members of the general public. Something also though that was really key was when we were organising the exhibition, a lot of the participants said that it was really important to have people seeking asylum and other migrants at the exhibition. So not just kind of just community members, but people who are seeking asylum as well. So that the pictures could, these were kind of their words, were to inspire other people, to give other people strength in their journey, and that, you know, if you can see the strength in other people, or you can see that there is an end to this, you know, a lot of people, as we've already talked about, are waiting sometimes like years for their asylum claim. So yeah, that was kind of like really, I thought, important for me, that actually when I was doing organising it in collaboration with people, that was something that I kind of hadn't necessarily thought of myself. I thought, you know, we need the public to see it. So yeah.
Thank you. And how about you, Alan? Who is the audience, or who are the audiences for
well, what we're sort of hoping is going to be, I mean, we don't actually sort of have a focused audience, as I was saying before. We don't want to, we don't want to preach to anyone, but we definitely don't want to preach to the, to the converted. We want to actually bring people in, and so people become a lot more aware. And it's not just about what's going on in the Mediterranean, or what's going on in the Sahara, or what's going on in Calais. It's actually, what happens to people when they get here. You just sort of find, I was just even sort of finding, during the lockdowns, it was difficult to sort of stay motivated, when you can't leave your house. So imagine, sort of being here, and you can sort of look into the society, but you can't actually participate in it, until the Home Office, make a decision about your case. So it's, as I said before, it's more about trying to bring awareness.
And which also, takes us to this, what exactly is happening with people who are seeking refuge in Bangladesh and also in the UK. We start with you, Sahat.
Sorry, I could not catch up your question.
what is the situation for people seeking refuge? How are they living? What issues are they experiencing? And how are they coping? What needs to be done by who?
Yes, since we came here, the refugee camp, so it's really critical. Our lives have been really changed. So we are facing a lot of challenges since we came here. We are living in the refugee in the shelters, like various small shelters that are not like the normal home, like because that are built with the bamboos and the tarpaulin. So and no, we don't have really the children and youth in the refugee camp. They don't have access to the formal and higher education, and also the camp is very crowded because almost 1 million refugees living in a small area in the hilly area. So and yeah, and you know we refugees don't have the access to the formal livelihood. So we have a lot of challenges, and now we are just waiting to go back to Myanmar, to our homeland, to our country, and well with hope to return to our home as soon as possible. And we seek support from the international community, and we seek support uh, from the Bangladesh government to make the repatriation as soon as possible. But it still didn't happen, and we're just hoping always. So this like we're it's really you know not like the normal human living in the camp, because refugee life is not really a choice for anyone. So we don't have access to our even to our basic human rights, basic rights, because the from the ration uh, to the education for the children, we are just getting uh, even less than profile rights. So yeah, just we're living in the crisis, different crises like a humanitarian crisis and health crisis and education crisis, cultural crisis. So that are just challenges in our life.
How about you, Alan and Joe? What's happening with people seeking refuge in the UK?
I mean,
well,
sorry.
Sorry.
I'll go. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, like, so what is like? I don't know, like, even where to start. It's just appalling. It's racism. I mean, a lot of the things that kind of Sahat said then, there are similar issues for people who are in the UK, and that is what is, there's health crises, there's no services, people seeking asylum are not allowed to work. They're given like I think it's like £6 a day now. Obviously, and the cost of living crisis is absolutely nothing. Yeah, it's just appalling. Yeah.
Alan?
Yeah, I concur. I mean, it's I think it's sort of just hit. I mean, hopefully, what we're going to be doing. Sorry, excuse me. Is we're going to be working, through schools, libraries, to bring more, more awareness, of what's sort of going on. So that's one of the big, focal points that we're sort of working on right now. I'm working with a curator by the name of Jenny Christensen, and so yes, we have the writing workshops, so sort of putting words to images, and also sort of working with libraries at, say, Newham, up in Manchester, up in Birmingham, the big library in the centre of Birmingham, for instance, the new library, the Shakespeare Room, hopefully. So to really sort of bring awareness, to bring it really into the focal point of, look, guys, this is what's happening. These people are not a threat. They're just like you and I, really, except in different circumstances, obviously.
And it's interesting that you mentioned this framing of people seeking refuge as a threat. Why do you think Britain,
I think it's a bit of a primeval instinct, unfortunately. I think humans, it's sort of like, well, I don't know, what are you doing here? You coming to take my food? Or, it's sort of going back to, I suppose, I mean, that's just, my sort of theory is that people just do feel threatened. I think it's just a human thing, unfortunately. Although we're so much more connected, and I don't think social media helps. I think social media has made things a lot worse in a lot of different situations. I mean, I don't think that helps. Yeah, I mean, I think people are just, people are scared. I think it's just the way humans are, sadly.
How about you, Joe? What do you think?
Sorry, I disagree with that as well.
You disagree? Okay.
I think
it's everywhere. I mean, it's Sweden.
Yeah,
it's
but I
Germany.
I don't think that it's innate in humans to be. I mean, yeah, we can. There are things like like in-group, out-group, like theory, things like that. But I think that it boils down to racism, and it boils down to the way that immigration is talked about by politicians, by the media, and that sort of, I know you said about like fear, and I'm totally, it's fear, but that I don't think is naturally in humans, or in the British public, if we're talking about the context of the UK. I don't think that's naturally within people. I think it is the story that people are told about what are potentially the issues with migration, and that's comes with like, and it's dominant discourses, imagery as well is part of that, is that we're given these images, the press drawing these images of Black and brown men at the with barbed wires, their faces half covered, and that perpetuates this idea of threat. We're constantly bombarded with asylum and immigration statistics, which like have no context, and we have no way of like understanding like what these statistics mean, but the numbers make people feel like, oh my God, there's so many people, there's not enough. And I think obviously, like, as we're kind of going further and further into the issues that the country is having in terms of the cost of living crisis, all of these things, that people seeking asylum, immigrants are scapegoated, like, oh, there would be, the NHS wouldn't be so overrun if we had less people.
Well, I think unfortunately this is sort of the Brexit debate. This is what Nigel Farage was very successful in doing.
Yeah, so I agree that it's like there is fear in people, but I don't think that that's innate in us, and that's why I think that we can change.
Well, a lot of it is manufactured. I mean, that's even from William Shakespeare's time. I mean, he was sort of talking about the fear of the other, that British people. I mean, obviously at that time it was Huguenots, or it was Jews, or it was I suppose who else was let's say back in the in the 16th century, and so in some ways human nature hasn't changed that much, really.
How about you, Sahat? What is how does the media and also politicians in Bangladesh, how do they talk about Rohingya refugees?
hear you. Actually, I'm losing my phone battery, and also internet connection is not so good here. So before we started documenting our life, and we tell story, we publish magazine. There were a lot of media in Bangladesh that tell different stories of Rohingya people, not about positive. That there were some negative, like negative information, negative stories that like propagandizing. So now we can see there are a lot of media that tell good stories about Rohingya people, and that tell positive stories, because now people can see that Rohingya people have also hope, and Rohingya people have also dream, and they are also good people who always try to improve their community through the good way. So yes, now the journalists and the media in Bangladesh also share the good stories, and they share the real stories of the Rohingya people, and they also like to show how we are suffering in the refugee camp. So they are also very collaborating with the Rohingya refugee photographers and the writers, and yes, they are supporting us a lot.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask another question, and then we'll take questions from people who are present. So this is for you who are listening in. If you've got questions, if you put them in the chat, we'll come to you. We'll come to you shortly. So if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. So my next question, for all of you, is in the work that you are doing with photography, what would you say are some of the issues, the challenges, and the problems that are inherent in that work, and how do you deal with them?
Shall I go?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Shall I go?
So Joe, and then Sahat.
Okay. Yeah, I have come across a lot of problems and ethical kind of issues. So I think whilst photography, it can challenge, we do need to be careful, because photography can also, somebody who is not a migrant and somebody who's not an asylum seeker, so I'm speaking from that perspective, it can also perpetuate harmful discourses. So something which I talked about in my work was, of course, the ways in which, I talked about just before, was that obviously we do see imagery of, Black and brown people against barbed wire fences and things like that. And it's very obvious about the harm that imagery causes. But sometimes advocacy groups also draw an imagery as well. And these are often images of females in refugee camps, or emaciated children. And even though these images are used to try and promote people to sympathize and maybe donate money, or that they can actually silence the people as sort of critical subjects, agents in their own sort of storytelling. So I think we have to be kind of careful with that. Also, when I was thinking about the exhibition, there is an editing process, and and that, who has got the power then to decide which photographs are chosen, which and on what basis. Are they because they are the most kind of images that we think evoke people to feel a certain way? But again, there's a power dynamic there. So yeah, there are some challenges, and I think that's kind of why the photo voice method is so important, because it's kind of about people telling their own story. So what I found was that although a lot of the participants did share, very traumatic stories of suffering at the hands of the UK government, a lot of their pictures were just like very everyday kind of scenes, kind of just engaging with places where they felt that they belonged, that you wouldn't necessarily look at those images and think, oh, that image was taken by somebody within the asylum system. They were just very everyday. And I think that's why it was so important, because it's not just, when people are in charge of their own story, it's not just about suffering, and that people are so much more than that. So yeah, I think there's a challenge to not kind of fall into that thing of just wanting to, if you're an advocate for people seeking asylum and refugees, that you don't fall into that trap of just trying to show suffering to call people to act, because this can be harmful as well.
Yeah, how about you, Sahat?
So, okay, being a Rohingya photographer, being a Rohingya refugee photographer, living in the refugee camp, I think, and I'm committed, my responsibility is to accurately and ethically document the experience of my people affected by forced migration, including avoiding exploitation and like sensationalize the imagery, obtaining informed consent from the subject, providing context and background information about the situation. So, but we have always a lot of difficulties, to do this, because we don't have, we don't have good internet connection. We don't have access to internet. We don't have well equipment like. We're documenting on our mobile phone. We take photos on our mobile phone because we can use the camera like DSLR camera and the digital camera. So, and it's really difficult also to move around the camp. Sometimes the movement were restricted due to some various kinds of security reason, So yeah, but we do it anyhow. So we've also a responsibility, to do awareness about my community that were positively and surviving their life. So as soon as we think, like, as soon as we keep awareness to the people around the world, so Rohingya people will not be forgotten. Our people around the world can really remember Rohingya people that who are surviving in the refugee camp. So we hope we will get our rights, and our rights will be privileged. So we can get back to our homeland. We can go back to our country one day. So yeah, and now we will, we would like to continue documenting this our situation and our life, so the next generation will know the will know the next generation, they can see how we survive it and how we face the challenges. So we will like we really want to make changes in the community, to this medium of photography, and by providing the documentary photography platform to the young people, so they can tell their stories, and so they can share their stories by themselves. Yeah.
Thank you. And how about you, Alan? What are the challenges? What are the issues? And,
oh boy,
how do you deal with them?
Well, I mean, how long is a piece of string? I mean, it's there's just, obviously there's just lots of issues. I mean, in this, as we were just sort of saying, Josephine was sort of saying, is one of the big problems is obviously how things are being used since Brexit in for politics by unscrupulous people, which does not so show, and of course obviously with the cost of living crisis, with the war in Ukraine, energy crisis, so on and so forth, and it's but actually I have sort of found, in my experience, with this project, I mean, everybody's been pretty positive. I mean, I haven't really had any negativity, so I've been pretty lucky. I mean, people have been pretty supportive, but then again, I think there's a lot of, I'm dealing with a lot of people who are quite pro helping refugees.
Carry on.
So I think that, yes, as I was saying, the negativity obviously is it's the bigger picture, the media, of how things are portrayed, and especially with the government we have right now, which does not help. And they're going to be here for the next 2 years.
Yeah. And then I'm looking at the questions and comments. There's it's more of a statement from Ro Alom Shah. Are you here, Ro? And would you like to speak or say something?
Yes, Ro Alom Shah is one of my best friends and my elder brother.
Yeah.
And who is also a young activist in my community.
Yeah. I was asking if Ro wanted to say something, because I think he posted a comment. Maybe he wants to say something.
Hi, sir. How are you all? I am
Hello.
Alam Shah. Hi. I am Alam Shah from Bangladesh refugee camp. I'm also a Rohingya victim in camps. So I would like to thank all of you for raising our voice in international community, to the international community. So I am very happy to see you all here. Thank you so much for such kind of film.
Thank you. And we've also got a statement from Geraldine. Geraldine?
Yes, hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm also working with refugees as an Rohingya in New Delhi. I'm not Rohingya myself, obviously I'm from Canada, but yeah, I've been working there for about 3 months now. So it's been pretty challenging, but I'm really it's really interesting to hear the different experiences also, like from Josephine and Zahat. So it's really interesting for me. So I've learned a lot. So yeah, I just wanted to see if other people in the audience also are working on those kind of like photo voices and these kind of things. So if someone wants to reach out after, I'd be really happy to share our work together. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Also, if you would like to get in touch, keep in touch. If you put your contact details in the chat, that would be absolutely fine. And we can connect that way. And then Jenny, you posted.
I think there is my friend Kristen Fritz, who is from Germany. She is really following the Rohingya issue since many years, and she very connected with many Rohingya refugees in the refugee camp in Bangladesh. So I would like to ask her to talk something about the Rohingya people.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm following this panel now from the start, and I also think that it's really great what you're doing here. And on behalf of the Rohingya community, I'm really close to these people, to the community. Since over 3 years now, I follow everything what's going on there, and what I see is so impressive, especially what Sahat is doing, because it's not only that these young refugees go around with their cameras and take pictures. For me, what they're doing is so important for the whole future, because their testimony, their photo testimony will serve for historians and for chronics later to portray and to prove what has happened to the Rohingya and how they are living there, and how what they are facing every day, the struggle, also the beautiful things, but all in all, these dire situations they live in, and their constant call for attention, for compassion, for solidarity. So whatever people do, like you here, is a step for helping the Rohingya, for keeping their plight alive, for showing also that they're not alone. And therefore, I'm just happy to be here and to listen what you're saying. And Sahat, you're doing an amazing job, and I'm really happy to know you. Alom Shah, anyway.
Thank you. Thank you. And if anyone wants to say something, if you raise a hand, we'll let you speak. So maybe what we do now is we go back to our three panelists. Specifically, the question that I would like to ask now is around something that Sahat mentioned, responsibilities, and also something that Sahat also mentioned, hopes. So what would you say are your responsibilities, starting with responsibilities as people who are working around forced migration and people who are using specifically photography? What would you say are some of your responsibilities? And who else has got responsibilities? And how are they, Anyone who wants to start, jump in.
I can go if no one's going. I think just relating back to like what I said before about the challenges. So just, I guess, so obviously there's different, everybody on the panel here is sort of like different in like their position and role in terms of like photography. So from my perspective, like as an academic, using photography as a research methodology with marginalized groups, the responsibility for me is to be aware of my position, be aware of like the possibilities for like for there to be issues when I'm, say, selecting a photograph to go into like an exhibition or to go into a journal article, or so yeah, to be aware of the issues of power and just to not like be like to kind of like, oh, you know, because I'm using this method, therefore the participants have been empowered and, you know, it's going to solve everything. And, you know, that just to be kind of remain that, like, you know, it's not that we can use these methods to attempt to empower people, but not to kind of, yeah, to assume that.
Okay, Ambrose, I'm really plugged in my battery power, so, and it's really very late night here.
Yeah.
So I'd love to show you our magazine here. This is Rohingyatographer Magazine, issue number 1. So if you check in our website, you can order this magazine. This really a magazine published by the Rohingya refugee photographers, young photographers. So it will be really nice to be connected with your all international audience and any international photographers. So yeah, I would really like to invite you to subscribe our website and to see our work and to encourage us and to support us, so we can continue documenting our stories. We can continue working together, and we can do good impact and improve our young generation, and we can develop their skills. So we really need your support. We really need the support from the international community to
Okay.
I think his power might have got, oh, he's back.
connection also annoying.
Okay, thank you, Sahat. I'll put a link to the magazine in the chat, and also send a link when we send a copy of the video out. So maybe we finish on this. We finish on hopes. What are your hopes? Yeah, we'll keep it open. What are your hopes? Who wants to go first? Yeah.
Reform. I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, a fairer system, a more just system, a more efficient system, you know, so people aren't sitting in limbo. I think I think refugees should be allowed to work, you know, while they're here. I think, you know, we can do things that, you know, to reform the system. That I just can't see why or how it's so difficult to do this.
Yeah,
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I would just echo what Alan said there. Just like, I mean, the whole asylum system needs complete reform. And they also need to. That is going to have to start with acknowledging its inherent racism, and until they will do that, it can't reform. They can bring in, like, you know, they can make small changes, like whatever, but like until they, you know, admit that it is racist, then yeah.
Maybe we invite you to expand on that a little bit, because I think you've mentioned it a few times, where you've talked of spoken about the asylum system, especially in Britain, as being racist. What do you mean?
So I mean that the majority of people seeking asylum at the moment are from former, at the moment, so since the late 90s, early 2000s, that's when kind of that was a significant period in when there were increases in asylum applications from countries that were former colonies. And that's when we started to see, I mean, Britain has always been sort of as hostile to immigration. But that's when we started to see like some really things like the dispersal policy was introduced in, I think, 1999. So policies like this. So yeah, these policies that are so violent and are so sustain and produce suffering are enacted upon racialized people, because the majority of people who claim asylum are racialized people.
And there's also the obvious differences between on the one hand how Ukrainian refugees have been received, and also on the other hand, people like Afghans who worked with the British, by the way, or people from Syria, or people who are currently in places like Calais, who've got connections with Britain, are currently being received. And okay.
And there is Lucy Biglin and Joe Turner have a book, Migration Studies and Colonialism, and like that, for anyone that's kind of that traces where our whole system of asylum is linked to like colonial racism. And so there will be a lot for me to try and you're welcome. And also I haven't prepared for that question. I want to articulate it properly. So
All right, thank you. And how about you, Sahat? What are your hopes?
So so I believe that art and photography has that power to inspire and educate and bring people together. So my hope is that to create change in the issues that we are facing, to make positive impact in the community, and to also develop my artistic and cultural practice to support the professional development and the engagement of the Rohingya photographers that I am collaborating with. So so they can continue documenting and sharing the stories of the community. So there is.
So thank you, Sahat, and also thank you, Joe, and thank you very much, Alan.
Okay, thank you for inviting me.
And thank you also to all who attended. I hope you found the event as interesting and as engaging as I did. So we're going to have a number of similar events looking at other aspects around forced migration in the arts. If you'd like to take part in any of them, if you drop me an email, we'll see what we can do together. I don't know if our panelists have got final words that they want to say.
I think I pretty much hit the nail on the head.
All right.
I don't think I missed anything, I think.
Thank you so much, bro. I'm really pleased to speak to discuss our issues with you. So thank you everyone who have joined our event, and thank you to the audience. So really nice to meet you all.
Yeah, I put the link to my project onto the chat also. So please, anyone's got any questions, please do not hesitate to to contact me.
Thank you.
I've put my also thank you, Ambrose, for organizing this. I've put my email in the chat as well. So if anyone, because I have had like a direct message question, but I don't know when we end the meeting if that will stay, because I'll need to, you know, like take some time to answer it. But so if it doesn't stay and the answer doesn't, you don't get an answer from me, maybe email the question to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Ambrose, are you going to put the link to Sahat's website? Because I haven't seen it in the chat.
I will put it. It's in the Eventbrite listing.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will put it in the chat when not in the chat. Oh, actually, I found it. Let me do it now. Why not do it now? It's no better time.
Okay.
Okay. You wanted to ask something, Alan?
No, I think I'm pretty much all set.
Okay. So I think if there are no more questions, we end here and see you at the next event, hopefully.
Okay, and hopefully be seeing you in Manchester, I think, in the next few weeks.
I look forward to it, Alan.
Okay, look forward to, and thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Ellen and Ambrose. And I hope to see you all in person one day if possible in UK, because UK is the great supporter for the Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. I have a lot of friends living in UK, and also the people in UK embassy and the British High Commission, they also support me a lot. They also encourage me to do this work. So yeah, the people in UK are really great, and I'm really grateful to you all. And thank you so much. Thank you, UK.
Thank you, Sahat, and all the best. And keep up the absolutely brilliant work that you're doing.
Okay, thank you. All right. Bye-bye.